Hi folks! In our EV news today, a new study has linked EVs with reduced air pollution and respiratory diseases. BP Pulse have reduced their prices on their ultra-fast charging points. Australian startup Recharge wins bid for collapsed UK battery company Britishvolt. And finally, Thailand's Tuk-Tuks go green amid rising demand for electric vehicles. First up, we've got this article from Clean Technica, and its new study links EVs with real-world reductions in air pollution and respiratory problems. The article says a new study by researchers at the Keck School of Medicine of USC, published in the Science of Total Environment journal, has found a link between the increased use of zero-emission vehicles and improved air quality and public health in California. Now, this is one of the first studies using real-world data to show that electric cars are associated with reductions in both air pollution and respiratory problems. Gasoline-powered vehicles are major contributors to air pollution, including particulate matter and nitrogen oxides, which are associated with negative health outcomes such as respiratory symptoms, cardiovascular disease, and premature deaths. For example, car exhausts are responsible for 4 million new cases of childhood asthma every year. Electric vehicles with no exhaust and reduced use of brakes intuitively are capable of reducing such air pollution. But up to this point, little real-world data had been collected to demonstrate this. The article goes on to say that the study analysed data on the number of zero-emission vehicles, ambient nitrogen oxide pollution, asthma emergency department visits, and population characteristics in 1,238 California zip codes for the 2013-2019 time period. On average, across zip codes in the state, zero-emission vehicles increased from 1.4 to 14.6 per 1,000 people between 2013 and 2019. Now, this allowed researchers to observe and quantify the impacts of rising EV adoption on NO2 and asthma-related emergency department visits. The results showed that each increase of 20 zero-emission vehicles per 1,000 people within that zip code that reduced NO2 by 0.41 parts per billion in the air, and it reduced asthma-related emergency visits by 3.2%. So that's really interesting to see it's able to quantify a value there. I've included a link to the article down below so you can read a little bit further and find out a bit more about the science behind this. Now, moving on to the next article. Now, this was from an email I got from BP Pulse, and they said that they've got good news, and from the 1st of February, they've cut prices on their ultra-fast charging across the BP Pulse network. They're saying, we can give you these new lower prices thanks to the government's Energy Bill Relief Scheme, which was launched to support businesses through the energy crisis. So this is a UK-based scheme that has been introduced to help people with rising energy costs. Now, jumping straight down to the prices, now we see that on a subscription-based model, the price per kilowatt hour is 44 pence if you're using a 7 kilowatt charger, 55 pence per kilowatt hour if you're using a DC 50 kilowatt charger, and if you're using 150 kilowatt or above, it is 55 pence on the subscription model. On a registered user basis, it is 57 pence per kilowatt hour on the 7 kilowatt chargers, 67 pence per kilowatt hour if you're using a 50 kilowatt or 150 kilowatt charger. If you're用 contactless, it's not available on the 7 kilowatt chargers, but it costs 69 pence per kilowatt hour on both the 50 kilowatt and the 150 kilowatt chargers. So fantastic. Great to see that the prices are coming down as a result of the improvements in the energy pricing because of the scheme that the government has brought in to help businesses, and that is being directly given back to the consumers. So good to see. Next up, we've got an article from The Guardian, and it's saying that Australian startup Recharge wins a bid for collapsed UK battery company Britishvolt. It says, an emerging Australian company yet to construct a major project will be responsible for delivering on UK hopes to electrify its automotive industry after outbidding rivals to take over collapsed battery maker Britishvolt. Revive plans to build a 3.8 billion gigafactory in the north of England to supply the next generation of UK-built electric vehicles. Now, it's saying that the Australian company beat off 3 other offers to become the preferred bidder to take Britishvolt out of the hands of the administrator EY. Now, the deal still needs to be finalised, and that would trigger a process of paying back creditors. The ambitious startup strategy means Recharge will now work simultaneously on rebuilding Britishvolt and its planned facility, whilst also pursuing pre-existing plans to build a battery facility in Geelong, a former car manufacturing hub in Australia. Now, the startup plans to build lithium-ion batteries free of materials from Russia or China, reducing risks to supply chains. The article goes on to say that bidders were particularly interested in Britishvolt's intellectual property, according to one person close to the administration process, and that includes patents, designs, supply chain partners, and territorial licenses that give the holder a dominant position in the UK. So there we go. That's The Guardian reporting on Recharge winning the bid. And the final article I'm looking at here is from The Guardian, and it's saying that Thailand's Tuk-Tuks go green amid rising demand for electric models. They're saying Thailand's iconic gas-guzzling Tuk-Tuks are being replaced by a greener, more energy-efficient model, offering travellers a more environmentally friendly way of getting around what is one of the world's worst countries when it comes to air pollution. The benefits are quite clear in terms of the environment, says Krisada Kritayarekana, co-founder and CEO of startup Urban Mobility Tech. He goes on to say that with electric tuk-tuks, basically you don't have any noise and you don't have any emission from the tailpipes. The article goes on to say that in 2021, the levels of the pollutant PM2.5M in Thailand were 4 times higher than the World Health Organization guidance. Now, inhalation of PM2.5 can cause respiratory problems and heart issues. In 2019, pollution was to blame for more than 31,000 deaths in the country. Now, looking further down, they say as of 2019, there were almost 20,000 tuk-tuks, and the demand for electric tuk-tuks is growing. In 2022, their number increased from 263 to 498, according to the Electric Vehicle Association of Thailand. So still a long way to go to eat into that 20,000 tuk-tuks. Now, one of the transport apps in Thailand, MoveMe, plans to increase its fleet of electric tuk-tuks from 350 to more than 1,000 in Bangkok, climbing to 5,000 nationally within 5 years. The article's highlighting that electric tuk-tuks alone won't make much difference to air quality, according to Dr. Surat Bualert, an assistant professor focused on environmental science at Kesesat University. I think cars can improve air quality because the research and chemical analysis shows the major source of PM2.5 is transportation. Tuk-tuks cannot because the ratio of tuk-tuks is small compared to other vehicles. Now, it also says, but EVs aren't the holy grail of making travel more sustainable, says Ewan Clucky, founder of Tripseed. They rely on grid power to charge, and in Thailand, only 14.9% derives from renewable sources. It also says electric tuk-tuks can only travel short distances before needing to be charged, while the price to buy one is about 400,000 baht, which is about £10,000 or $12,000. The starting price for traditional tuk-tuk is about 150,000 baht, which is about £4,000 or $4,500. So there we go. That's tuk-tuks in Thailand are starting to go electric. I mean, that has to be a good thing because it's starting the transition. It's got to start somewhere. So yeah, great to see that movement. So there you go, folks. There's a few snippets of EV news that I thought you might find interesting. If you did, then please click the like button down below. Up next, here's a video that I think you might find interesting. And if you haven't done so already, why not subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon so you get notified when I load up a new video. Well, thanks for watching, folks. Until next time, bye.